Morning, Mary. Were you able to find my video on the Medi? Hey, Amanda. Hey, Ray. Hey, Nikki. You found some? Okay, good. Weird filter. Oh, I didn't see. Is there a filter? What's the filter? A big filter today? Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, ridiculous. She keeps telling me no one ever ran of those. She's tired. Yeah, I mean, it takes a little getting used to. I would talk to her like literally told some of the other kids, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a rainbow. It is true, we did used to have another Nikki in book club. I think she's been dealing with a lot of stuff with her kids. Yeah, Mary's was for total reason. I will email her, she's great. She actually gave me a lot of my raps, and she's absolutely wonderful. I will email her and see if she's okay. That is a great question. She's the one with the 3 beautiful little ginger babies. So cute. How lucky to get 3 of them. 3 little gingers. Yeah. We got a sleepy one today, so that means we can read. Yay! And I got my Christmas cup. Oh, meeting at 8:30. That's a bummer. Okay, well, we'll see you later. Bye, Jen. Amazing genetics. I agree. Yes. We will be reading shortly. I'm just frothing some milk, and then we'll be on our merry way. I've got my Christmas cup today, even though tomorrow is Halloween. Tomorrow's Halloween, right? Did I get that right? I think tomorrow's Halloween. Good morning. Hey, Beth, how are you? Welcome on in. I'm gonna try again when she's not tired. Yes. And I would make it a game, like talk her through it, be like, oh, do you want to go in the rainbow? You know, that's what I always do. I don't know why, but maybe it'll work. Every kid's different, so who really knows, but we can give it a try, right? Coffee and crochet. I like that. I don't know how to crochet yet, but I do like coffee and I do know how to knit, so it's close. Coffee and knit doesn't sound as good as coffee and crochet, though. Yes, fun does typically mean calmer. Yes. I agree, Amanda. I agree. Look, today I didn't spill, you guys. It's kind of amazing. Yesterday was... Well, I didn't actually spill yesterday. I had to slurp to avoid spilling, but, you know. I know, he's awake, right? He's working in the background. I taught myself how to crochet this past year off it. I taught myself how to knit off YouTube videos, too, and that was, like, almost 20 years ago now. Isn't that crazy that YouTube's been around that long? I was in college, and I just decided that I wanted to learn how to knit, so I had something to do when I was on the subway, and that's what we did. Oh man, that's good coffee. It's good coffee. I know. YouTube's been around forever. Crazy. That's crazy. Funny is hyper. Yes, that's true. Fun does equal hyper excitement for me too. I can't wait to meet her, Amanda. I'm really excited. She's such a sweet little nuggie, and she's so beautiful. Okay. Hey, Jillian. Okay, I'm gonna put this on the tripod. Hold on, the tripod is being weird right now, so just give me a second. Tell her I'm also gonna lose my mind. Whee! There we go. Okay, perfect. Sometimes we just have to do a little reconfiguration. Hey, Anya. made her jasmine hat hair, and that's hilarious, Nikki. That's really funny. Okay. Just taking a sip of my coffee. And then we will start to read. Can I tell you guys something that I found out that I think is pretty funny? 2 years ago at this time, we were also reading this exact book. I know that because I went to find old Halloween stuff, and a screenshot of, good morning Susan, a screenshot of this book cover, this one, number 4, was in my files for October of 2023. So like, we're really nailing it. We're really nailing it. I thought that was really funny when I saw it. I was like, wow. Hey Morgan, how are you? We did not have a sleepy baby yet, but congrats, fantastic sticker unlocked. What? What does that mean? Fantastic sticker unlocked? I love us too, Anya, but what's a fantastic sticker? Anyway, let's just, let's go reading. Hey Brittany, oh my gosh, we've got a lot of old friends here today. Great to see you all. I mean, I'll take a sticker too. Doing good. We have a sleeping baby, which is always a good sign. Yeah, right? We're fantastic. Thanks, yeah. Okay, so, you know, I have no idea. But I'm not mad about it. Okay, so for those who are just joining, we are reading Land of Stories, Book 4, which is apparently what we do every October. No, that's not true, not last year. We are on Chapter 8, which is page 113, for anyone who is keeping track for their Goodreads. And by the way, if you haven't added me on Goodreads, obviously you should, because I keep all of our book club stuff. Like I have a folder for everything for book club, so you can see it all there as well. Okay, Chapter 8 is called The Only Object. Nope, that's not true. Gosh, wouldn't it be cool if I knew how to read? Wow, it's the only objection. You can't lead a book club if you don't know how to read, you guys. You just can't. Like, it's not gonna work. Yeah, it's a huge difference. It makes a very big difference. I wonder what was the same chapter. I know, that would be really funny. Oh my gosh, that would be crazy, Mary. This is called The Only Objection. Chapter 8, page 113. Here we go. The day, Oh no, that's so sad, Isabella. We haven't had that yet. Daylight savings doesn't start for us until this weekend. The day of Red and Froggy's wedding finally arrived, and the newly christened Center Kingdom was all a daze in celebration. Despite the constant setbacks, Red managed to finish all the planning her perfect day required, and thanks to a great amount of self-control on Goldilocks' part, Red lived to see it. The former Hall of Progress had been transformed into a beautiful altar. 500 chairs had been set to face a pulpit on top of a large platform. Risers were built for 200-piece symphony. A massive organ with pipes stretching high into the ceiling had been carefully constructed. Tall vases of pink, red, and white carnations were arranged and placed throughout the hall. White pillars and rosy silks draped the walls. Goldilocks had spent the entire morning helping the castle servants put everything together, and they were very proud of their work. Goldilocks discovered that However, when Red arrived to make her final inspections, Goldilocks discovered that her true task as matron of honor wasn't just helping the bride, but it was protecting everyone else from the bride. Red stormed into the Hall of Progress wearing nothing but a pink bathrobe and fuzzy slippers. She had curlers in her hair and no makeup on. Her eyes were much larger than usual, and a scowl was frozen on her face. She had never looked so anxious. "This is wrong, and this is wrong. This is all wrong," Red yelled. "The chairs are too close together. The women's dresses are going to get caught on them. The pulpit's too far away. I'm getting married. I'm not trying to make a pilgrimage here. Tell all the musicians that they're not allowed to eat any of the food. The caterers only had enough time to prepare enough for the guests. Oh my gosh, the pillars and the drapes need to match. This place looks like a giant rib cage." Red didn't even look at anything long enough to properly see it. She just flung her arms around, yelling and pointing at anything that she could. Red, this is exactly how you planned it, Goldilocks said. You need to calm down. Please tell me that is not what you're wearing to the wedding, Red hollered, targeting Goldilocks next. No, I'm wearing something much uglier that you chose for me, Goldilocks said. Remember, the pink dress with the puffy shoulders? Red wasn't listening to a word that Goldilocks said. She began pacing and mumbling to herself. Did you sleep at all last night? Goldilocks asked. Sleep? How was I supposed to sleep when there's so much to do? Red asked. Wait, are you saying I look puffy? Oh my god, I look puffy. The wedding is canceled. Everyone just go home. Goldilocks removed the flowers from the nearest vase and dumped the water over Red's head to cool her off. The bride-to-be screamed. Listen to me very carefully, Goldilocks said, and leaned in threateningly close to her. Everything in this building is exactly how you wanted it to be. You're having pre-wedding jitters. This is nothing that needs to be fixed or adjusted. What you need to do is go back to the castle and start getting ready and enjoy your day, because if I hear one more complaint from you, this wedding is going to turn into a funeral. Is that clear? Red frowned. Her jaw trembled and she nodded slowly. Yes. She turned to face the rest of the room. My apologies to everyone here. Well done. And as a reward for your efforts, I'd like to invite you all to the reception at the castle following the ceremony. Just please don't eat anything. However, Red wasn't the only one feeling pre-wedding jitters. Froggy, Connor, and Jack were dressed up in nice suits and keeping one another company in the library of the castle while they waited for the ceremony to start. Froggy stood motionless at the window. He stared out at the kingdom and watched as the citizens lined the streets. They were bubbling with excitement and anticipation, hopeful for a glimpse of the royal wedding. It is funny how times change, Froggy said softly. 4 years ago, I was living in a hole, and I was afraid that if I showed my face to the world, they would hate and fear me. I never thought that love was even an option for me, but now here I am, elected king of a kingdom. I'm about to marry one of the most beautiful women in the world, and she's technically the one who proposed to me. Yeah, if there's one thing life's good at, it is surprising you, Jack said, and sometimes it surprises you in the best ways. Connor was sitting on an armchair, staring at the floor, oblivious to what they were saying. His mind was still fixated on their search for his sister and the masked man. He quickly looked up when the room went quiet. Hey, I'm sorry, what did you say? Connor asked. He was supposed to be Froggy's best man, but so far, he was failing at it. Just an observation, nothing important, Froggy said, and he gulped, loosening his collar. Why does everyone rethink the decision to get married on the day of their wedding? I've been fine with the idea for months, but only now do I feel like I'm getting cold feet. Connor laughed. But Froggy, you're an amphibian. You always have cold feet. Froggy turned to him and smiled. This was a nice way of putting things into perspective. There's a knock at the door, and the third little pig poked his head into the library. Your Majesty, the former and, well, future queen is almost ready, and the ceremony will begin shortly. Jack patted Froggy on the back. Little boy, you ready? Ready as I'll ever be, Froggy said. Gentlemen, please join me in my last step as bachelor. They followed him out of the library, but Connor lingered in the doorway. He had a bad feeling that was growing in the pit of his stomach as he looked back at the empty library. It felt as if he was forgetting something, but he couldn't figure out what it was. He didn't want to keep the others waiting, so he caught up with them, but the feeling stayed with him. Perhaps he was just having a little jitters of his own. Meanwhile, in Red's chambers, the bride-to-be was taking an impossibly long time to put on her wedding dress. Goldilocks tried fussing with the sleeves of her matron of honor dress as she waited, but there was only so much fussing that she could do. Hurry up, Red, Goldilocks instructed. You don't want to be late for your own wedding. Perfection cannot be rushed, Goldilocks called out from her changing room. And as if Red were wrestling a giant fabric monster, Goldilocks heard rustling and tussling from the changing room as Red's handmaiden struggled to get the dress onto her. When the handmaiden stepped out of the changing room, her face was so flushed that she looked like she had just run a marathon. Whew, what a dress, the handmaiden said. She was going to have nightmares about this dress for the rest of her life. Come on, Red, Goldilocks said. You know I'm dying to see it.
The wedding dress was so massive, the front of it emerged from the changing room a few moments before Red followed behind. It was a white mountain of ruffles and lace, lined with red trim and covered in ridiculous red bows. The veil was messy and exploded from the top of Red's head like a volcano. Goldilocks was speechless, but not in a good way. Claudius leapt from his bed and barked at the dress as if it were the wild beast. "Well, what do you think?" Red asked with a hopeful smile. "Well, you wanted the wedding to be a spectacle, right?" Goldilocks said, and Red marched across her chambers to the mirror and had a look at herself. Judging from her reaction, the dress wasn't at all what she had expected. "I look like a blizzard," Red gasped. "I don't understand. It looked so pretty in Granny's sketch." "You didn't try it on beforehand?" Goldilocks asked. "I didn't have time," Red said. "I was too busy helping the twins find the masked man." "Well, maybe there's a way to simplify it," Goldilocks suggested, and the handmaiden hooted. "Ooh, no, it is too tightly stitched, and it would take hours to alter this. She might be better off walking down the aisle naked." Red had a massive panic attack, and she walked up around in circles and fanned her tears with her hands so that her makeup wouldn't run. As far as she was concerned, the wedding was ruined. "Maybe I can help?" a familiar voice said from behind them, and they all turned to see Alex standing behind. None of them noticed when she appeared. Claudius charged forward to pounce on her, his traditional way of greeting someone that he liked. But Alex waved her hand, and the wolf froze in midair. Despite being suspended, he managed to lick the side of her face. "Alex," Goldilocks said and gave her a hug. "You had all of us so worried. Oh my God, thank goodness you're all right." "Well, I have been better," Alex said, and Red cleared her throat. "Excuse me," she said, redirecting their attention. "Alex, it's nice to see you, but I'm in the middle of a wedding crisis. I could use a fairy's touch." "I think you're gonna need more than that," Goldilocks laughed. "Can you help me or not?" Red yelled. Seeing Red in such a frantic state made Alex forget her own problems, but she was hesitant to help. "I don't know if I should," Alex said. "You saw what I did to the Fairy Council. My powers have a mind of their own now. There's no telling what I might do to you." Red had never looked so desperate. "I don't care if you turn me into a big ball of fire and lightning," she said. "Even that would be better than this dress." "All right," Alex shrugged, "but I'm gonna need your help. Red, I can supply the magic, but I need you to focus. Think of exactly what you want your wedding dress to look like, what you want Froggy to see as you walk down the aisle toward him." Red nodded and she closed her eyes. Alex extended her hand toward her, and the light began swirling around the hideous dress. Red concentrated as hard as she could, thinking about the dress that she had always dreamed of getting married in. "Oh, my word," Goldilocks gasped and covered her mouth. "I have never seen such a gorgeous thing in my life," the handmaiden said, and Red refaced the mirror to see for herself. She went into shock because of how stunning she was. The fabric was so soft and fluffy that the dress looked like a cloud. Appropriately, a hood had replaced the veil, and in turn, the long train flowed down Red's back and onto the floor. The whole dress twinkled like a starry sky. "I think it needs one more thing," Alex said, and she snapped her fingers, and rather than a traditional bouquet, a basket of flowers appeared in Red's hand. "I look beautiful," Red whispered, and for the first time that day her eyes filled with tears of joy. "Thank you so much for coming, Alex. It really means the world to me." At first, Alex was planning to avoid Red's wedding altogether, not wanting to create a scene or cause any more damage, but seeing how happy Red was on her wedding day made Alex ashamed that she even thought about missing it. "I just wish that I could see the ceremony," Alex said, "but I'll probably cause a major fuss if I step onto the altar." "Oh, that shouldn't be a problem," Red said. "The organ isn't real. There's this little secret room in there. I had them build it just in case any of my friends who were on the run didn't want to be seen." Alex and Goldilocks shared a quick look. Had they heard correctly? "You were planning for one of us to be on the run?" Goldilocks asked. Are you new?" Red said. "One of us is always in trouble or running from something or someone. It's just a given in our group, so I planned for it." Alex and Goldilocks stared at her, amused but bewildered. Well, we should get going. Your former and future highness, the handmaiden said, and Claudius whined, still frozen in mid-air. Alex waved her wand, and he landed onto the ground. No, she's not wrong at all. Sorry, Claudius, you're staying in the castle until you learn the difference between children and chew toys, Red said. It's a long story, but thank goodness we all got there in time. Red had one last look at herself in the mirror and headed for the door. The handmaiden helped Red through the doorway, making sure her dress didn't snag on anything. The dress was hard to walk in, so Goldilocks pulled Alex aside while they let Red get a head start. Have you talked to your brother? Goldilocks asked. I don't want to talk to my brother, Alex said. She was still upset that he hadn't come to her defense at the fairy palace. Well, what he has to say might surprise you, Goldilocks said. We found some information on the masked man. What did you find? Alex asked. The potion that he stole from the fairy palace is something your grandmother invented when your father was a boy, she said, and it turns any written work into a portal into whatever world it describes. Knowing what he told the witches, we think he's going to use the potion to recruit an army from a collection of books that your grandmother used to own. What? Alex asked. She knew that the potion must have been powerful, but she had no idea such a thing was even possible. What kind of books is he after, then? We were hoping that you would know, she said. Can you think of anything off the top of your head? Alex thought about it hard as she could, but the only books she remembered her grandmother having were spell books. No, I can't think of anything, Alex said. But regardless of what books he's after, we won't be able to stop him unless we know where he is. Goldilocks nodded. Yeah, well, we'll find him much faster if we work together. Yeah, I know, Alex said. But after what I did to the Fairy Council, I'm afraid to be around you guys. I couldn't live myself if I ever lost control and hurt one of you. Goldilocks put her hand on Alex's shoulders and looked directly into her eyes. Alex, for the last 6 months, I've been at the mercy of raging hormones, she said. 1 minute, I'm devastated. The next minute, I'm obnoxiously happy. I'm either overly sympathetic or vengefully spiteful, but never anywhere in between. Yesterday, Jack told me I looked beautiful, and I punched him. Why are you telling me this? Alex asked. Because I know what it's like not being in control of your emotions, Goldilocks clarified. And if I can get through today without killing Red, I have no doubt that you can learn to control yourself too. Alex appreciated Goldilocks' faith in her. Okay, I'll work on it, she said. Yoo-hoo, Red called from the hall. Come on, it's showtime. Alex and Goldilocks headed out of Red's chambers and followed the happy bride down the hallway. Are you excited, Red? Alex asked. Honestly, Red said, I never thought that I would be this happy. Who would have thought that marrying a frog could bring me so much joy? The wedding guests had all arrived and taken their seats. The musicians played a pleasant song as they waited, except for the organist, who couldn't find out why the organ wasn't working. All they needed was the bride, and then the wedding could begin. Froggy stood on the platform and looked quite anxious. Every second that he waited made him more paranoid that Red might have had second thoughts. He was afraid that at any moment Red's handmaiden would run inside and tell the room that the bride had called it all off. All the royal families had come to support Froggy and Red. Froggy's brothers were there, King Chance and King Chase and King Chandler. They all gave him thumbs up to calm his nerves. His sisters-in-law, Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty, blew him kisses. Queen Rapunzel sat with the long braid piled on top of her lap, as it had tripped all the wedding guests seated near her. The people sitting behind Empress Elvina were upset by her giant crown made of tree branches and that it blocked their view, but they were too afraid to ask her to remove it. Red's granny and the little old woman who managed the shoe inn sat on either side of the Empress, chatting her ear off. I've heard that elves aren't the best tailors, Granny said. You should let me come to the Elf Empire and give sewing lessons. I've made all of Red's clothes ever since she was a little girl. Her wedding dress is one of the best I've ever made. At least, I hope it is. I did lose my glasses a few weeks ago. The Fairy Council was also in attendance, and Connor avoided making eye contact with them as much as possible. Unfortunately, he couldn't avoid everyone that he wanted to. Weddings are so romantic, don't you think, Butterboy? Connor's whole body went tense as the sound of a voice came over him. He looked up and saw Troll Bella had chosen the seat closest to him as possible. It reminds me of the time that we got married. We almost got married, Troll Bella said. Remember that, Butterboy? It was the best 10 minutes of my life. It was a memory that Connor had tried repeatedly to forget. Yeah, that does ring a bell, he said. Of course, we were so young and foolish then. We weren't mature enough for marriage, Trollbella said. That was only 2 years ago, Connor reminded her. Feels like yesterday, right? She said. I'm so glad that we didn't go through with it. We needed the time apart before we made that leap. We needed to live a little and have more experiences and love. Thankfully, I got all of that out of the way with Gator, may he rest in trouble in heaven. I'm sure you feel the same way about that blonde girl. You mean Bree? Connor said. We weren't dating. I hadn't even talked to her in like a couple months. Even though they hadn't spoken in a while, Connor would be lying if he said he didn't think about Bree often. In fact, Bree was the only thing he actually liked thinking about these days. Funny how the flames of love diminish so quickly, Trollbella said with a deep sigh. Luckily, I've learned the difference between flame and fire. I didn't know it at the time, but Gator was just a flame. I'm done with flames. What I need now is fire. She looked up at Connor and batted her big eyes. Connor's stomach started to turn. He thought that they were past all of this. Okay, well, I do hope you find one, Connor said, and he patted her on the shoulder. Will you excuse me? Connor walked away from her as quickly as possible and joined Froggy on the platform. He wished that Trollbella had never brought up Bree. If he were honest with himself, he might admit how much he missed her, but he ignored the feeling whenever it arose, afraid that it would grow if he gave it attention. Connor was glad that she wasn't around, or so he told himself. He had already exposed her to a dangerous expedition around Europe and a 200-year-old army. Wherever she was better off without him. Thank you, Tiffany. I'm glad you liked it. Danger seemed to follow Connor and affect anyone associated with him. Knowing that, Connor wondered if he could ever get married himself. Would it be selfish to expose someone he loved to a life as crazy as his? Would someone willingly exchange rings with him, knowing what a risk it was? Connor abruptly slapped his forehead. Oh my god, the rings, he whispered to himself. That's what I forgot. The rings! What's wrong? Jack asked. I left the rings in the library, Connor said. Oh, you want me to go retrieve them? No, I know right where I left them, Connor said. I'll be right back. I'm the worst best man ever. Connor rushed out of the Hall of Progress and made a mad dash for the castle. It was hard to run through the village with all the people lining the streets. The crowds began to cheer as Red rode by in a golden carriage. Crap, oh crap, Connor said, it's gonna start. He ran as fast as he possibly could, determined to get the rings back in time. The golden carriage arrived at the House of Progress, and all the villagers gathered at the front steps. Red and Goldilocks were escorted out of the carriage, and the people cheered at the first glimpse of her wedding dress. Hearing the crowd outside as Red arrived was the cue for the wedding to begin. The third little pig was to officiate the ceremony, so he took his place behind the pulpit. Jack stood on the steps of the platform just below Froggy, promoted to groomsman until Connor came back. Where did Connor go? Froggy asked. Bathroom, Jack said. He'll be right back. Alex magically appeared in the small room inside the organ, and no one was the wiser. She was so grateful that Red had gone to such lengths. As she looked around the room, she saw the wedding was filled with people that she didn't really want to see, although she didn't see her brother anywhere. Goldilocks walked down the aisle and took her place across from Jack. Red appeared in the doorway in all her glory, and the room got to their feet. She moved toward the pulpit, and the doors were shut behind her. She walked so delicately that it seemed like she was floating down the aisle. Froggy felt like time stopped once he saw Red. He forgot where he was and how he had gotten there. As far as he was concerned, she was the only thing in existence. He had never seen such a beautiful sight in his life, and his big, glossy eyes became even glossier. Red had to remind herself to breathe as she walked. She couldn't believe that this moment had finally come. The wedding was absolutely perfect. Everything seemed right in the world. You may be seated, the third little pig announced when Red reached the pulpit. He gave the opening speech, making the guests laugh a couple of times. Red and Froggy were lost in each other's eyes and didn't hear a word of it. Jack worried more as the ceremony went on. Connor was still nowhere to be found. What's wrong? Goldilocks mouthed to him. I don't have the rings, Jack mouthed back. And now it's time for the rings, the third little pig announced to the crowd. Goldilocks turned to the organ and pointed her fingers. Rings, she whispered to Alex, hoping that she would hear her. To Jack's relief, 2 sparkling rings appeared in his hand. Oh, hey. Oh, hi. Hi, beautiful. Hey. Oh, hey. You want to have a little nap? You'll sleep a little more? No? To Jack's relief, 2 sparkling rings magically appeared in his hand. He gave one to Froggy and the other to Red. They were oblivious to everything but each other and had no clue that anything was even wrong. The quick save wasn't entirely unnoticed. Emeralda eyed the ring suspiciously. She knew Alex must have been close by. She looked around the room, searching for where she might be hiding. "Get out of here," Alex whispered at the organ. Alex wanted to stay for the entire ceremony, but she knew that it was best to make a peaceful exit while she still could. She gazed at her friends one final time and disappeared into thin air. "With this ring, I be wed," Froggy said as he slipped the ring onto Red's finger. "And with this ring, I be wed," Red said, doing the same. "King Charlie, do you take Queen Red Riding Hood to be your wife and queen for as long as you both shall live?" the third little pig asked. "I do," Froggy said. He was so emotional that he let out a ribbit by mistake. "And do you, Red Riding Hood, take Charlie Charming to be your husband and king for as long as you both shall live?" "I do," Red said, "and even beyond that." Their hearts were overflowing with so much joy that they could have flooded the House of Progress. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. All the observing couples held each other a little tighter. "Then, unless there's any objections, I hereby pronounce you—" Bam! The doors burst open with a blinding flash of light. A gust of wind blew through the hall, knocking over the vases and the pillars. The guests screamed and covered their heads. A horned creature entered the hall and leisurely strolled down the aisle. As it moved in closer to the platform, Froggy and Red realized it wasn't an animal, but a woman. "Forgive the intrusion, but I object," Marina said with a menacing smile. The room erupted into a wave of murmuring. No one knew who or what this woman was. "How dare you?" Froggy said. "Who are you?" "Oh, you don't recognize me, Charlie?" Marina said with a playful frown. "After all we've been through together." Even though she didn't have horns herself, Red was about to charge the intruder. "Charlie, do you know this woman?" Froggy tried to remember who she might be, but he couldn't recall a time when their paths had crossed. "I've never seen her before in my life. Identify yourself, woman." Marina cackled so loudly that the hall vibrated from the echo. "Why, I'm your fiancé," she said. "Well, your other fiancé." The entire room erupted in boos and hiss. They couldn't believe that this woman had the nerve to barge into a wedding and proclaim something so distasteful. Everyone was outraged except for Froggy. He became stiff as a board and turned pale green. He knew who she was after all, but he never thought he would lay eyes on her again. "Marina," he said, "you've changed." The witch was delighted to see how affected he was by her transformation. "It's been a very long time. You're exactly how I left you," she said. Red grabbed Froggy's hand, fearing the worst. "Charlie, what is she talking about?" Froggy was trembling as if he were seeing a ghost. It's been years since I saw her," he said. "She was my first love, but I was afraid of what my family would think if they found out I was courting a witch, so I ended it. She was convinced that I ended it because of how she looked at the time, but even I swore there was nothing. It had nothing to do with her appearance, I swear. She cursed me to look like a frog, so it was my own face that I would be ashamed of looking at." Red felt as if she was going to be sick. The charming kings all stood at once. "Guards!" King Chance yelled. "Seize this woman. She's a criminal." "Oh, sit down," Marina said, and with a flick of her finger, each of the charmings were compelled to sit against their will. "You don't have proof I was the witch who did this to him, although that does sound like something I would do." "Why are you here, Marina?" Froggy asked. "What is it that you want?" "Isn't it obvious?" she said. "I've decided I want you back. I've missed you so much over the years." "Why else would I so rudely interrupt your wedding?" "Over my dead body," Red screamed, putting herself between Marina and Froggy. The witch rolled her eyes at the affectionate gesture. "Oh, well, that can be easily arranged," she said. "You have two options, Charlie. You come with me now, and we return to the life we started so long ago, or you choose to stay and watch me curse your bride with a fate far worse than yours. The choice is yours, though." The fairy council leapt to their feet at the threat. "If you even attempt to curse anyone, we will personally escort you to Pinocchio prison," Esmeralda said. I know, right? "Relax. I haven't done anything illegal yet," Marina said. "But it's entirely up to you, Charlie." "What'll it be?" The hall waited with bated breath, but Froggy didn't know what to do or say. The witch had a paralyzing effect on him. "Fine," he said with a quivering jaw. "I'll go." The room gasped. Marina laughed and she clapped her hands. "What?" Red yelled. "Charlie, you can't be serious. I'm not letting you go." "I have to go, darling," he said. "I won't let her harm you." Red put her hands on his face and tears spilled down her own. "Let me be cursed. I don't care," she said. "There isn't a curse in the world that would be worse than living without you." "Red, she's much more powerful than she seems," he cried. "I won't let her take you from me. This is the only way that I can protect you." "She's livestock with lipstick. I can handle it," Red cried. "I won't let her take you from me." "I'm so sorry, my love," he said with tears of his own in his eyes. "I have to go. I have to." Red grabbed a hold of him with all her might, and Froggy kissed her forehead and forced her off of him and joined Marina in the aisle. The witch linked arms with him, and they headed toward the door together. Tears were flowing out of Red's eyes like a fountain. "Esmeralda, you have to do something," Red said. "You can't just let her do this." "She hasn't done anything," Esmeralda said. "He's leaving of his own free will." "Okay, well then someone else do something," Red hysterically cried. "Please, I'm begging. Someone stop him." "You want to go to the playpen? Okay, we can go. We can play." "Yeah, you want to play? We can play." I know, it's so sad. Hold on. We'll finish this in 1 second. Are we going to go to the playpen? Yeah? Are we going to find out what happened to Froggy and Red? Whee! Whee! A boop. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. This is very sad times, my angel. Sad, sad times. Okay. You guys ready for a little Tower of Terror action? And oops, we're on top of a toy. Sorry about that. Now Tower of Terror in 3, 2. Woo! Right, Nikki? Okay, we're gonna back up just a little so that we can get get into the mood. "Then someone please do something," Red cried hysterically. "Please, I'm begging someone, please stop him." Everyone in the hall looked at one another desperately, but there was nothing that could be done. When no one came to her rescue, Red ran after Froggy, but she tripped on her dress and she fell to the floor. "Charlie, wait! Come back!" she pleaded. "Please come back!" Red crawled down the aisle as she cried for him, but Froggy never even looked back. He and Marina reached the door, and they disappeared into a puff of dark smoke. Red lay on the floor and sobbed hysterically. Goldilocks ran to her and kneeled beside her. Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and Granny joined Goldilocks on the floor, but Red was beyond comforting. The charming brothers stood over by their wives. "We'll find him, Red," Chase said. "We won't let this witch take our brother from us again," Chandler said. "But she didn't take him this time," Red cried. He left me. He left me at our wedding." Red was so devastated that she became delirious. "Is this a dream, Goldie?" Red asked. "Can you please tell me that this is a dream?" Goldilocks had no words to comfort her. Red rested her head on Goldilocks' lap and cried, sobbing herself to sleep. With nothing left to see and no way to help, the fairy council disappeared one at a time. The other guests took their lead and filed out of the Hall of Progress. "Whatever happened to Butterboy?" Trobella said as she walked out with the others. Jack looked around the hall and there was still no sign of him. Yeah, I'm gonna go find Connor, he said to Goldilocks. Something must have happened to him. He left the Hall of Progress as fast as he could. The eager crowds outside weren't aware of what had occurred. They cheered as soon as someone walked out, expecting their newly married king and queen to emerge at any moment. Jack squeezed through the villagers and retraced what he assumed would have been Connor's path to retrieve the rings. He made it all the way back to the castle with no sign of him. However, as soon as Jack stepped into the library, he discovered his instincts were right. All of the furniture had been knocked over, and the paintings were crooked. The windows were shattered, and most of the shelves were broken. The floor was covered in books and glass. "Connor!" Jack yelled. He heard grunting and found Connor curled up in the corner. He had a black eye and a busted lip. He was clutching his stomach. "Are you growling for them? You want this book? This is a unicorn book. Unicorns don't growl, sweetheart." Jack gently lifted him up to a seated position. "Connor, what the hell happened to you?" Jack asked. "Who did this?" He was still shaken up and had a hard time speaking. He was here," he said. "Who was?" Jack asked. "The masked man," Connor said. "When I came back for the rings, he was in the library. He was stealing the books. I tried to hold him down, but he fought me." Connor raised his arm and showed Jack the sack he was clutching tightly in his fist. He managed to grab a hold of the masked man's mask. "I saw his face," Connor said. "Alex was right. He is our dad." The growling unicorn, that's funny. Are you reading about Minnie and the unicorn? Yeah. Poor Connor. Poor Connor. Guys, Connor just got beat up. I know. I know, honey, I know. Let's see how long chapter 9 is. It's actually pretty short. I think we can do it. I know, poor Red and poor Connor. So much sadness. Red's been left by her fiance. I know. Connor's been beat up by someone he thinks is his dad. How, I mean, just distressful. Can you imagine thinking that your father, like, is this awful villain and beat you up? Oh my God. Chapter 9. The Moth of Memories. Yeah, his dead dad. His dead dad. Yeah, right, Stephanie? Right? It just gets worse every time. Oh my God. Oh, Stephanie's here. You guys, Stephanie has been working really hard to catch up so that she could join us for these discussions. So welcome in, Stephanie. This is chapter 9, The Moth of Memories. And I do mean moth. You know, like a moth. Page 137. Are you ready, sweetheart? She said, Alex stood in a window that was so large a ship could sail through it. She'd chosen to occupy this bedroom in the giant's castle because of this very window and the beautiful view of the stars that it had at night. Also, it was the farthest bedroom from Mother Goose's room and the only place that you couldn't hear her snoring. Every night she would stare up at the stars and pretend she was talking to her grandmother. The castle was so high up in the clouds that Alex had an unobstructed view of the moon and constellations. Oh, you found the wolf? Oh, is that Claudius? She found the wolf and she's growling for him. Yeah, is that the wolf? Do you want something else so you can make a different sound? What does a bunny say? Or, I mean, does a bunny go hop, hop, hop? Hop, hop, hop. He say hop, hop, hop. Hop, hop, hop. He did this. Hop, hop, hop. She's watching screen, mommy. I know, right? Isn't that terrible, Roxy? You think their dad is like this great dad, and then this is all happening. What does a bunny say? Yeah. Are you growling for the wolf? Rawr. Ah. Ah. She's playing out the whole thing. They run from the wolf and they scream and then... Yeah, do you want your piggy? Here's your piggy. This is the third little pig. That's what the pig says. Piggy actually says oink oink. Say oink, oink. Oink,
oink. She said no, they scream. They must say ah. It's a whole show over here. Yeah. Wherever her grandmother was, Alex felt much closer to her when she was up here. Oh, it would be amazing if we could figure that out, Amanda. She is in her villainary, yes. I hope that she grows up to figure. I know, that would be amazing, Roxy. I wish she would. I hope that for her. Okay, do you want to do this while Mommy finishes this chapter? Here, why don't you read about unicorns? The unicorns say, nay! You said that fairies don't die and that you'd always be with us, Alex said. So if that's the case, please send me a sign to show me that you're here. Please send me something that lets me know that I'm really not as alone as I feel. It was a request that Alex had asked of her grandmother every night, and every night she waited for a response. Eventually she became too tired to stand, and she would crawl into the giant's football-sized bed, and she would try to sleep. However, tonight Alex never became tired. The longer she waited for a response, the angrier she became. The whole world thinks I've lost my mind, Grandma, she told the sky, and I can't blame them. I've lost control of my powers. I'm obsessed with finding a man I think is my dad. It would be much easier if I believed that I was crazy too, so why can't I? Why am I so certain of what I saw? I'm begging you, please send me something, some clarity. I hate feeling this way. Lucky for Alex, someone was listening tonight. Just when she was about to give up and go to bed, something among the stars caught her attention. It was bright, and it grew bigger and bigger the longer she watched it. Alex would have assumed that it was a plane if she were in the other world, but she had no clue what was headed her way here. Soon, Alex saw that the object had wings, not like a bird or a fairy, but like an insect. It was a giant moth, proportionally in size to the scale of the giant's castle. It was made entirely of white light. The moth landed on the windowsill beside Alex. She had no reason to trust the moth, but for whatever reason, she knew that it wasn't going to harm her. Where are you from? Alex asked, and the moth looked up at the stars. Did my grandmother send you? She asked, and the moth wiggled its feathers and antennae. Alex took that as a yes. Why did she send you? The moth lowered its wings and made them flat against the windowsill. Even though it never said a word, Alex knew exactly what it meant. You want me to climb on your back? Alex said, and the moth stayed put, so she took that as a yes. Alex wasn't sure if it was even possible, but when she stroked the moth's wings, she found it was solid like a real moth, despite being made of light. Alex climbed onto its back, and the moth fluttered into the night sky, leaving the giant's castle behind. The moth glided through the cool night air down into the clouds. Alex could see the entire fairy tale world once they flew. Where are we going? Alex asked, but the moth never gave any indication. Everything was dark, but judging by the terrain that they could see, Alex figured that the moth was descending somewhere between the fairy kingdom and the charming kingdom. They landed in the middle of a forest. There was a dry riverbed with a few tree stumps, but nothing very special about this part of the woods. Why did you bring me here? Alex asked as she climbed off the moth's back. The moth suddenly separated into a dozen orbs and then dispersed through the woods. A few of the orbs flew into the tree stumps and morphed into the rest of the missing trees. Some of the orbs turned into water and flowed down the empty riverbed. It was like they turned into holograms to show what the forest had once looked like. The remaining 2 orbs flew the furthest into the forest and became the silhouettes of a young woman and a boy. They walked hand in hand to where Alex was standing. The boy reminded her so much of Connor when he was younger, and the woman looked like a younger version of her grandmother. Oh my gosh, Alex said as she glanced around the forest. This is a memory? Is that Grandma and Dad? Her dad and her grandmother were in the middle of a conversation as they walked. The voices sounded overexposed, like an old record was playing. Why are you taking me into the woods, Mother? The boy asked. You know I hate the outdoors. Because the fresh air is good for you, the fairy godmother said. I don't see how that's possible with all the bugs, the boy said. I wish you'd just let me stay in my room. He was a very spiteful and unhappy child, nothing like Alex had imagined he'd be. The twins were told their entire... Really? Is that so? Yeah? Huh? Do you want to sit down, maybe? That's a bunny. What does a bunny go? Hop, hop, hop?
The twins had been told their entire lives how energetic and adventurous their dad was as a boy, but the child Alex was watching now couldn't be more different than that. Was this memory a rough time she was witnessing? I wanted to show you something I found the other day when I took a walk, the fairy godmother said, and she put her hands on his shoulders and moved in front of a tree. Do you see that big hole in the tree? There's a squirrel's nest inside there. Fascinating, the boy said and rolled his eyes. Can we go home now? Not yet. I want you to see something inside of it, his mother insisted. The last time I was here, the mother squirrel had just given birth to babies. One of the babies has a very sharp claw and it was scratching all of its siblings, so the mother chewed the claws off. Why would she do something so barbaric? He asked. Because she was trying to protect it and the other babies from getting hurt. Woo. Hey, look at Mommy. Look at Mommy. I caught you. You're all good. Mommy caught you. You're okay. Mommy caught you. That's why Mommy always keeps her hand on you, huh? Yeah. It may make it more difficult for the squirrel to climb trees and defend itself later in life, but the mother did what she had to do. All mothers have to make tough decisions regarding their children. It's just a part of nature. Why don't you peek inside and see how much the baby squirrels have grown? The fairy godmother gave him a little push toward the tree, but the boy reluctantly looked inside. It's empty, Mother. I don't see anything, he said. Perhaps an owl attacked the nest and ate all the babies during the night. Now that's something I wish I could have seen. The boy turned back around and saw his mother pointing her wand at him. Pow! Ropes blasted out of the tip of her wand and wrapped around her son, holding him to the tree. He screamed and struggled against them, but he was confined. Mother, what's the meaning of this? The boy yelled. Let me go! I'm so sorry, my darling, the fairy godmother said tearfully. This is the hardest thing that I will ever do, but I have no choice. What are you talking about? The boy said. What are you doing to me? I know what you dream of when you're asleep, the fairy godmother said. I know your heart's greatest desire is to grow up and take over the world, but I can't let you use your magic to hurt or kill anyone. So I have to chew off your claws. I have to kill your magic. No, Mother, the boy screamed. Please don't do this, please. The fairy godmother pointed her wand at him again and hit her son with a blast of bright light. A few moments later, a sparkling silhouette, his exact shape and size, fell out of him. The fairy godmother waved her wand and the chains wrapped around the silhouette instead, and she dragged it into the river and held it under the water. The silhouette squirmed and convulsed as the fairy godmother drowned it, splashing everywhere. The task was more difficult to perform than the fairy godmother had even expected. She closed her eyes. Little by little, the silhouette faded into the water until it was washed away completely. Both the fairy godmother and her son were crying, but for very different reasons. Alex was choked up too. It was one of the saddest things she had ever witnessed. This couldn't be a real memory. This had to be someone's nightmare. But why was her grandmother showing this to her? One day you'll forgive me, the fairy godmother said, and she climbed out of the river. I will never forgive you, the boy cried. I will hate you until I die. He stared up at her with so much hatred that he was obviously telling the truth. He would never love her again. Well, that's your decision, she said. But even if you do, I will never stop loving you, Lloyd. Alex felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. Lloyd, she said. You would never have done this to John, Lloyd cried. You always loved him more than me. Always. The trees, the river, the fairy godmother, her son, and everything the orbs projected vanished, leaving Alex alone in the forest. It was so still and quiet that Alex could hear her own heart beating. Her grandmother's spirit supplied her with more clarity than she could have asked for. So that was a memory. Dad had a brother, Alex said. Dun, dun, dun! Yikes, honey. Yikes. 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 Okay, so what have we learned today? We've learned that now now, the things that happened today are crazy pants because previously Alex thought that this was her dad and Connor didn't believe it. Now Alex knows it's their dad and Alex knows that it's not. So we all know that it's Lloyd, which we had known. What page are we on? Great question. What page are we on? Mommy's got to reach the book. Is Mommy going to fall over? Probably. We are on page 144.
144. So some crazy stuff happened. Now here's the thing. Now Connor's going to be crazed and Alex is a little calm because she knows that, bless you again, that there's someone else. So at least she can calm down. Meanwhile, Connor's still having dead dad beat me up trauma. I got distracted with work, so I have to realize it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot of info in this one, Amanda. It's a lot of info. Oh my gosh. Nikki, you gotta go back and listen. I'll upload it as soon as possible because it was crazy pants. So we've had some switching amongst the twins, you know? Wow. Wow. What do you think? Wow? Honey? What do you think? Yeah? Okay. All good things there. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's Halloween, which is super exciting. Everyone should come to book club in costume. What do you guys think? That's pretty funny. All right. So we will see you tomorrow. Oh, yes. In case anyone is seeing this and didn't know, all the previous After Dark videos, so if you were on Patreon and joined late, you can see all the old ones. Oh, that's amazing, Mary. Or if you never joined Patreon, you can see them. There is an After Dark level on YouTube now where you can go and watch all the old After Darks if you want to do that. Just like you can do, oh, that's funny, Sloth. Just like you can do with the classes. So anyone who is missing those can go back and watch those, which is kind of fun. And if you never got to watch them, now you can do so. So that is all good. And we will go have breakfast, right? We're going to have breakfast? Say breakfast! Breakfast! She's smiling and laughing about it, but she is not lifting her arms nor saying breakfast. Let's try one more time. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Breakfast! You don't want to put your arms up with mommy? Breakfast, breakfast, la 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 la. Breakfast, breakfast, la 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 la. Wow. Rough room. Okay. Thank you, Inara. I appreciate that. Oh, you're saying that's what you would normally say. Okay, so anyway, I'll get this uploaded really fast for everyone who missed the last. A tough crowd, right? Yeah. Okay, we're going. Okay, we love you guys. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.